Governor Mitch Daniels jump in. He's our guest. We'll ask the governor. And on the last word, Obama gets Osama. The most wanted terrorist on earth is history. But questions are being raised about the future of U.S.-Pakistan relations. We begin the show with Governor Mitch Daniels of Indiana. Governor, thank you for being with us.
Hi, Al.
You have said that you are going to announce your presidential intentions after the Indiana state legislature recessed. They left April 29th. Will you let us know by Memorial Day whether you're in or out?
About that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to and felt duty-bound to put all my attention to the job I was hired for. And we did finish the session. It did finish on time, which was not a certainty. And now I know that I owe a lot of people
So we'll know
an answer.
within weeks.
Yeah.
You've said family will be a consideration. It's been no secret. It's been reported that your wife and 4 daughters are less than enthusiastic about you running for president. How can you run then?
Maybe you can't. Very, very important factor. And their apprehensions are not groundless. I think anybody who's watched this process, especially as it's evolved in the last couple cycles, would agree. They have a lot to say about a decision that, after all, doesn't just involve me. You know, I may be up for bungee jumping, but this is one where you have to strap on some other people, and they deserve to be heard.
A familiar GOP refrain in recent months has been that Barack Obama is weak on foreign policy, a multilateralist who doesn't believe in American exceptionalism and the like. You praised Obama, as did many other Republicans, for getting bin Laden. Politically, does that take the soft and national security issue off the table?
I don't know that it does, but if it does, that'd be good. What we want is an effective foreign policy, and I want this president to succeed. I'm very pleased for him and his team at the one victory, and I hope it's followed by many more. If it is, that's a great thing for the country. I don't think it ends the election. There's still a lot.
No, I wasn't saying the election.
About.
I was just wondering if it means the national security, the soft and national security wrap is off the table.
Depends so much on events and his posture toward those questions going forward. But let's just commend him for a good step, and I hope it's typical of those he takes from now on.
Read a blog in the National Review that said that you were at a session, I think it was at Bloomberg, as a matter of fact, in New York, and you said you were not ready to engage Barack Obama on foreign policy. Isn't that going to make some Republicans nervous if you're not ready?
Just a candid statement. You know,
it is.
Indiana doesn't have a foreign policy. I'm not inattentive to these things. I was answering a direct question with a direct answer that there are a lot of these issues. If I became a candidate, I would spend a lot of time very promptly and be ready in plenty of time. But I think there's no need for me to shoot my mouth off till I'm pretty confident I know what I think.
Just one question about the rest of the field. Is Donald Trump a serious candidate for the Republican nomination, and does he share your ideals and views?
I don't know, Mr. Trump. I'm pretty sure that we disagree about a number of things, but it's not for me to tell Republican primary voters or voters at large who is and isn't.
The budget issue, the red menace, as I think you've called it, is dominating now. Washington's wrestling with something tied to the debt ceiling in a couple months. The general wisdom is that spending is now 24% of GDP, far too high, and that Democrats are going to have to give on entitlements and things of that sort, but revenues are at an historic low, and Republicans will have to give on increasing revenues net. Do you agree, and should that be part of a compromise in the debt ceiling?
We need a lot more revenues. The question is, how do you get them? And if you take what I believe is a very flawed tax system, way too complicated, too many preferences and gimmicks in it, many of them, by the way, tilted toward upper-income people.
Right.
And what's more, a system which is trying to squeeze more and more dollars out of fewer and fewer people. The question is, how do you get the revenue?
So tax increases, from the Daniels point of view, would be off the table.
Tax rate increases, I think, are a mistaken idea.
How about net tax increases through closing preferences?
Yes. Let's agree that we ought to have more tax revenues, and the way economists really of both sides seem to agree is fewer preferences, lower and flatter rates. And that could be part of,
though, reducing the budget deficit.
Yeah, I think the point, Al, is that we will never ward off this catastrophe, even through very bold reforms of entitlements, even through very decisive moves to get federal spending back and the rest of the budget back down. Unless we have a long, sustained economic boom, it's the absolute essential. And so what we all ought to be talking about is how are we going to do that? And a lot of people on both sides think lower, flatter rates is the way to do it. We've got to have more revenues. But a theological argument about tax rates is likely to be counterproductive.
Let me ask you about how we got there. Just one question. The Washington Post did a piece last weekend in which they looked at data, CBO data, the Pew Financial Analyst, and they concluded that of the debt now today, that the Bush administration with the tax cuts, 2 wars, prescription drug benefit, much of when you were OMB director, it contributed 4 times more to the debt than Obama has.
Well, I haven't seen the piece, but there's no question that the debt of today began with a recession and 2 wars. The collapse of revenues that were coming, we now know, from high-income people making lots of money in the bubble of the late 90s, was going away regardless. And I don't think it's of much use to stare in the rearview mirror here. The question is, here we are. It's equally true that between the spending that has occurred already and the incredible spending that's in prospect because of the Obama administration, that an intolerable situation is going to get 2 to 3 times worse. Right. And what we've got to be talking about is looking forward, how do we avert that?